Welcome to Silicon Valley Successes. On today's show we have Shmuel Silverman, who is an inventor with over 145 patents and provisional publications, and he has successfully co-founded and sold 2 companies. He works with companies to develop and take advantage of having strategic intellectual property portfolios that protect them now, secure their space in the future, and tell an effective story for investors. And you're going to learn quite a bit in a moment, so stay tuned. Shmuel, thank you for taking the time today to be on Silicon Valley Successes.
Thank you for inviting me, Sean.
Shmuel, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today.
Background, probably over 35 years in the industry. Started with software, moved to software, hardware, telecommunications, and then invention, innovation, different type of technologies. I worked for many years, over 16 years in Motorola, and my last position there was Director of Advanced Technology and Strategy, and my team and myself, we were innovators, and we like to create technology, and the question always was, what's the value? So when you invent something, what's the worth? I mean, it's a great idea to do something. I mean, I love technology, and I wake up every morning with like 7 stupid ideas, but they're stupid. They're not necessarily smart. So what makes the difference between a smart idea and a stupid idea? Very simple. If somebody is willing to pay for your idea, it's worth something. Then it's not stupid anymore. If you invent something that nobody wants to use, who cares? So the way to think about invention and innovation actually start with, will anybody pay for it? That's the first question. It might be amazing, but if nobody pays, who cares? We started to ask this question in Motorola many years ago and started to develop or create inventions with a lot of intent behind them. And it was a large team of people, not just myself, who were focusing on how can we create technology that blocks everybody else while makes us successful as a company. And we've been successful for many years there.
Tell me a little bit about some of those successes.
Well, in the late 80s, when people didn't even think about IP as the layer that can deliver voice, data, and all other beauty into phones, we've demonstrated 5 different air interfaces, not just wireless LAN, but also other like GSM and other technologies. We use them to deliver voice and data and video to our clients. It was a big demonstration and big projects later that ensued. One of them was how police departments are doing push-to-talk today in their headsets. The standard was always analog, and we modified completely to digital and used the Ethernet to communicate, which was unheard of in the late 80s and early 90s. Only now we can see it everywhere, but at that time it was innovative and new and different.
So when we're talking about patents, you have 145 patents or provisionals. I'm going to say an expert. I've heard that patents can protect my business. Is this true?
Well, yes and no. If you create a patent that protects your technology, it does not necessarily protect your business. Meaning, you wake up in the morning and you say, well, I can make a better something, whatever that better is. I can I can create a circuit that will take a battery that almost failed and improve its capacity by 20% more. And you think, whoa, I've just invented something that somebody is going to pay for it. If it's not Tesla, somebody else is going to pay for this amazing innovation. And is that true? And you can protect it, but as you come to Tesla or come to anybody else and try to sell it as an invention or innovation, the first question they will ask is, are there any other ways to solve the same problem? Can I improve it by 19%, by 17%, by 15%? Is it more effective for me to just improve it by 10% and just duplicate some of my batteries? What is my business model around it, etc.? Or you can think about, I want to deliver a gaming experience to any platform on the planet. And there are plenty of companies, or a few companies who are doing that for a few years. Have they protected their IP or their technology correctly? I would assume so. But the question is, have they protected the business? Because only lately, Google announced that they're going to provide this service for free. So think about yourself as a company that invested a lot of money as a startup, even a late stage startup. You're running for 5 years. You've got who knows how many thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of customers. And suddenly Google shows up and say, I'm going to give this service for free. What now? Have you protected your business? No. What you protected was your technology. So it's all about protecting your business. And it's not about protecting your technology. So if your patents are protecting your value proposition, you are protecting your business. And if they're protecting your technology, probably not. New technologies will show up that will supersede yours, and off you go.
Then how can you strategize it so your patents are protecting your business? How can you think about that process and have that in mind? Because that sounds like the value.
Yeah. So it's the same thing as you have a startup. You create a startup because you think you've solved the real problem out there. Now, if you didn't solve the real problem out there, don't even start. So let's assume you know what problem you're solving. And within that space of problem, you also define what is your value proposition, how you make the difference for that problem, because most things can be solved multiple ways. But you're solving it in a way that brings a lot of value to your clients. Now the question is how you protect that value proposition. So you need to imagine your clients 3 or 4 years from now, when your product actually hits the market, and what are their options at the time. You can imagine all the different options, all the other ways to solve to your value proposition, and now you create a patent portfolio that protects all those options, not just your technology, but all the other options. And the strategy is built around what is common to all those technologies, so you can minimize the number of patents while maximizing your protection.
Could you give an example of protecting, or I guess creating a patent wheel, patent portfolio? Can you give an example and talk a little bit about it?
Yes. So you know about smart lights. Everybody wants smart lights. Lights that when I speak or when I tell the light to dim or to go up or to change, or if I enter a room, I want the mood in the room to change, etc. There are plenty of companies who are creating those smart lights. So there was one company that I was working with who created that smart device, or still creating that smart device and selling it. Now, just smart devices, you can say, let's protect the specific technology, which is that specific smart device with its specific way of communication, structures, and how they communicate between the devices, etc., to establish whatever is the mood in the room, if they know where they are located, etc. So they're like smart devices. But other people are creating the same or like technology using different enablement. So the problem is being solved different ways by different people. What most of the world, in large companies like Philips, so let's say I'm a small company who create those smart devices, here come Philips, they can easily displace me. They have the brand, the marketing, the distribution channel, the manufacturing, they've got everything. I'm just a small guy who creates something. So the way to compete is figure out what are the key elements that Philips and others didn't think about. So what did they think about? Look at the numbers. Smart devices by 2035, we'll have 4 billion of those. 4 billion smart devices, somebody needs to install those devices. What's the difference between installing a light and installing a smart device? On the average, the difference is 15 minutes. It takes 15 more minutes for an engineer or somebody a technician to install a smart device. It needs to tell the device where it's located, how it is related to other lights in the room, which room it is in the building, how to react, and how program it, etc. It takes some time, even if you're very fast. 15 minutes is not. 15 minutes times 4 billion is about, between now and 2035, is about 35,000 staff years difference a year. So you need 35,000 more engineers every year to be able to install a smart system as opposed to a normal light. Let's say I'm the Empire State Building or a big building or a group of buildings like Google group of buildings, and I want to make all the lights there smart. And I cannot bring people into the buildings before I enhance their lighting and do whatever I do to installation. There will be weeks and sometimes months delay between starting to install the system until the system is available, as opposed to installing just lights. This weeks and months delay is worth money. So how about we'll create a patent portfolio that enable smart lights to install themselves? You just drop them out there and walk away. They figure out where they are in a building, how to relate to one another, what are the powers and programmable things that they need to do based on people entering and exiting, and they basically design your building and the lighting moods within those buildings automatically. If you can protect that, you saved money, and this is you save money by enabling the building owner to make money faster.
So with the patent wheel, then, it's not around the technology, it's around the installation.
Yes, it's using the technology and algorithms in such a way that the system installs itself. So a technician does not need to learn how to install the system anymore. He just drops the system in place and walks away. And overnight, the system is installed and working.
So it's not actually the circuits or anything like that. It's
the algorithms associated with those circuits and the specific utilization of the sensors and the smartness in the device themselves to learn where they're at and how to behave.
This is amazing advice. So to find out more information, visit us at siliconvalleysuccesses.com. Once again, that's siliconvalleysuccesses.com, where we have this and all our other interviews, so you can watch it at any time. Now let's get back to Shmuel. Shmuel, that's fascinating, but moving back, how would a startup even be able to create this idea without having a huge team of geniuses around them to think of this solution? Who would they turn to for help to come up with an idea of what to create a patent wheel around?
So normally, when I worked in Motorola on that, we had a large team of people who would do that. You would have a market expert, business expert. You want to understand where you're going with your business, what's your exit, who do you want to buy you? In this situation, I would want Philips to buy me or some larger company. I want to make sure that when I create an IP, it is a problem to those companies. So it's another incentive for them to buy us. The problem with setting a large team like this or team of experts around the table, it costs a lot of money. And as a company, you can't just go and hire them. That's why I've created multi-innovation as a service. We provide this service. So you don't need to hire people to do this. You bring a group of people and they actually work with you to understand and invent that. But the reality is that these steps can actually be done by you as a startup. If you just need to work on it step by step in the just step by step. For example, you need to figure out your value proposition. You must understand how you make the difference to the world. And then you need to understand in the use case and the entire process of delivering your product, what makes the difference. Then you stop. And you try to figure out, if I wanted, let's assume I'm a business running now, 5 years from now. How would somebody take me out of business? So you think about it reverse. If you can realize how you can get out of business, meaning somebody else can win the business away from you, you can now point to areas of weakness that needs to be protected or innovated with technology and patented.
Does this also work with trademarks, logos, and other, or just intellectual property?
In this, intellectual property is a big thing. Trademarks, very important, you do it with lawyers. Logos as well. You also do patents with lawyers. The thinking about the patent strategy, this is where it's your responsibility, not the lawyer's responsibility. This is a technological and business question. This is not I've created something very new and I do not want people to copy it. This is what the copy protection comes into, and this is what a patent actually is to begin with. It protects, it gives you the ability to use some technology while nobody else, like exclusive right to use a specific technology for the next 20 years, once you get a patent. Yet, if you position that specific technology, not necessarily with what you're creating, but what is also plausible to compete against you, you now own a much larger space. And you want to own the space for the next 20 years. Just owning one technology out of 5 will not give you the space.
So if you were to go to a lawyer, a patent lawyer, and discuss this as a startup founder, would their recommendation be, well, just do one patent on your technology, or would they sit down with you and try to create a patent wheel around that technology, or a patent wheel around your company?
So you need to understand the business before you can create a patent wheel around the company. Just understanding the technology is not enough. There are plenty of ways to solve a problem. Think about user interface. It can be a touch user interface, like what you get from Apple. It can be voice. I can directly with voice. Voice technology and touch interface are two separate, independent technologies. Let's say Apple tomorrow is wanting to exist for the next millennia as a very successful company. They must patent things in the voice activation and the voice user interface as well. And the truth is they did. The same thing with gestures. Well, Apple also patented a lot of things in gestures. Oh, by the way, how about neural net? Your brain can connect things. Even though it's not a completely mature technology, it's still out there, and Apple patented some stuff in that space. Well, what else? Oh, AR and VR, which is another, user interface technology. You need to patent something there. But at the end of the day, if you think about it as a matrix or all possible technologies to solve a problem, within every independent technology like this, you need to have at least one patent that is extremely important for this technology, that if you want to create that technology or that solution with that technology, you must step over that patent. If you can create, in this case, 5 different essential patents, you practically own the user interface of the world. So you need to think about it. It's not that complex, except for some of those technologies might be outside of your scope of technology or understanding or engineering. This is why you go outside to somebody like myself to help you.
With the current IP laws, what would you change if you could change anything about them?
Well, first I would try to figure out how to work when an AI invent.
Tell more.
Well, I can write a spec, and I can train a neural net to go over the spec and figure out what to claim.
Okay.
The laws are such that anybody, any person who provides a claim into a patent is an inventor, substantially. And also the AI could change some of the text and create new configurations that are very unique. I mean, we have an AI that can create music. Why not an AI that create some changes in specification and some claims? Now what? How do I register an AI on a patent as an inventor? I think the laws should start to think about it. It's coming.
Do you have any stories of companies you've worked with to create a patent wheel? And if it worked or if it didn't work, what can we learn from those stories?
The companies who successfully create patent wheels are companies who spend the time to think before they invent or before they create patents. I would not like to share names, but I would say that large percentage of the early stage and late stage companies who already have 20 and more than 20 patents, those patents do not protect their value proposition, and I see it again and again. I end up reviewing what the company portfolio is and demonstrating that none of those patents are protecting the value proposition. It means that they're easy to circumvent. What is easy to circumvent? Let's say I'm Apple and you want to exit with me, Apple. So you come and you tell me, hey, I just built this amazing thing for you guys. It works on your iPhone. It will solve the world's problems, okay? And I look at it and say, well, it's going to take me about maybe tops 2 years and maybe less than $20 million to do that as well. So what do you think your multiplier is going to be? How much money will I pay for your invention? Maybe 20 million. Maybe. I'll probably do it less. But you've invested already 5 or 10 million to create it. Your multiplier is very low because I can work around it and it's not a big deal. But if it will take me 5 years to create it and maybe $200 million, then that's a problem. So if it's hard to work around you, then your patent portfolio starts to be of value. It's not about just selling the IP. It's about how hard it is to circumvent your portfolio. And if I want to get into your business and I can get into your business without circumventing your portfolio, I'll just do it because it's easy.
So sitting on the side of the investor then, looking at a company, how much due diligence do investors currently do into the patent wheel of a company? How much should they do? And how much value does it add in their eyes?
So the problem is on both sides. Usually the investors are pushing the technology companies to create patents, and they send them to lawyers, just go create some patents. We need to have 5, 7, 10, 20 patents. Here it is, here's the money, go do it. And they don't care enough how well that portfolio actually protects the company. This is on the one side. And on the other side is the company owners who they sometimes don't know how to present well or present the status of their IP portfolio, how well they are actually protected. Sometimes they are well protected, but they don't know how to present it. There is a way to leverage your IP, and you need to establish that your IP actually protect and delay competition. The more you demonstrate that it delays competition, the better it is for you in terms of market, because it's hard to work around you and people would want to buy you. Latest research showed that companies $750 million and above, and plenty of them consider IP or IP lawsuits against them as an extinction event, meaning they may get a lawsuit and they may lose the company by a single lawsuit. So if they will buy another company or another player to extend the market or extend their technology, they will do serious due diligence to make sure that that company is not infringing on anyone and their technology is very well protected, not just as technology, but within that market. I see it more and more. Companies are paying attention to the IP that they buy even more than the technology that they buy.
That is amazing to hear that companies at that size can think one lawsuit could really close the doors.
yes, and it's a published report that was done by a large law firm. And what's you can find it on the web very easily. And what's interesting, they say 20%. So the high risk lawsuits is 20% of the lawsuits against them. So 1 in 5 can kill the company. Now what?
A question on the 1 in 5 that could kill the company. With all the companies being so global now and so competitive, does that make it even worse when you have companies from China possibly infringing on IP in the US, or US companies infringing on IP from a company in Japan or Korea or?
It is. It's almost, there's almost no way for us to stop a company in China from creating technology that we've invented here. But what we can do is stop them from selling here as a result. We can stop them from selling in Europe as a result, as long as we have the IP. So IP is important, and creating it in such a way that it blocks the market. But it's not I'm not just talking about copying the technology. Why a Chinese company wouldn't just change the technology and create something a little bit different and compete against us, providing low cost, low prices? And again, maybe we've protected our technology very well, but it's ineffective. We need to protect the value proposition.
Shmuel, if someone wants to find out more about you and your company, what's the best way to go about it?
multi-innovation.com. That's it. You'll find about us, and you can connect with us every time.
Great. Shmuel, thank you for taking the time today to be on Silicon Valley Successes. And for everyone at home, if you want to find out more information about us, please visit our website, siliconvalleysuccesses.com. Once again, that's siliconvalleysuccesses.com. And Shmuel, we have a little bit of time left. What is one takeaway, one advice you would give a founder of a new company right now?
Think about your value proposition. Self-driving car is not self-driven car. A small difference in the words, in how you word your value proposition, changes the world in how you're going to implement the technology and your success in the market.
Shmuel, thank you. All right. Everyone at home, visit siliconvalleysuccesses.com. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you from all of us at Silicon Valley Successes. We hope you found the information presented today useful in your path to success. For further information on accessing the resources in Silicon Valley, you may visit us on the web at siliconvalleysuccesses.com, on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you. And remember, we want to help you in your journey to become the next success.